Dr. Lata Christie, madam. She is a senior scientist in DRDO, Bangalore. She
Wow.
is with us today.
Hi. Yes.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Yes, I can see her.
Yeah.
Hello, Lataji.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm speaking
Yes.
on behalf of.
Yeah.
Good morning, good morning. Yeah,
Yes. Really, not sometimes. Okay.
good morning, sir. ठीक है सर.
Yep. Yep.
Hello.
Vanshi madam.
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm waiting for the principal, madam.
Hello, Honesty. Hello, Honesty.
Yeah, madam. Good morning, madam.
Yeah, good morning, Honesty. Sorry.
Yeah, shall we start, madam?
Yes, yes, sir. Please go ahead. Hello.
Vanshi, make me co-host.
Yeah, later, like I'll make a co-host, madam, like after the introduction and everything.
Okay.
Sir, are you able to see the screen, sir?
Yes, it is visible, Vanishri.
An ecstatic good morning and my hearty respects to all the dignitaries, my dear participants, colleagues and friends. I'm Dr. Vanishri and on behalf of Department of Science and Humanities, SV Engineering College, once again I welcome you all for the AICTE sponsored 1-week short-term training program on Harmony in the Workplace, Effective Interpersonal and Communication Skills, Phase 3, Desirous Dexterity and at Career Concerns, that is life skills at workplace. I'm happy to say that we got a good response across the country for phase 1, that is communication skills at workplace, and phase 2, interpersonal skills at workplace. This time for phase 3 also there is a tangible result of more than 1200 registrations. Communication skills are critical to life and work. Maintaining workplace harmony is a key focus of every organization. We need to be able to communicate with our friends, colleagues, employer, parents, and students. We acquired or acquires a good or high position because of our qualification and experience. At the same time, it is important to maintain and improve harmonious relationship at workplace and also to improve individually. This can happen if we use or acquire to some necessary life skills like trusting others, flexibility, problem solving, creative thinking, self awareness, decision making, critical thinking, and so on. These skills help us to promote transparency in the workplace. So I hope this phase 3, desirous dexterity at career concerns, that is life skills at workplace, will definitely help and guide us to create a harmonious work environment between individuals, between management and employers, and presents an exciting opportunity for personal development and creates an exciting environment. It is a known fact that Almighty will appear in the form of a guru or a teacher. A teacher is one who dispels darkness of ignorance from our inner eyes by applying the collyrium of the light of knowledge. He shows the way to follow a divine manifestation, as there is no difference between a wave and the ocean. There is no difference between a teacher and a God. A teacher inspires devotion in others. A teacher presence purifies all. A teacher releases from the illusions of Maya. A teacher awakens us to discover the power that lies within us. So now, ladies and gentlemen, let us invoke the Almighty, who is in the semblance of all our teachers, to seek His divine blessings for the success of this program and also to spread His divine vibes to gain the eternal energy. The picture of the teacher is the root of meditation. The words of the teacher are the roots of mantra. The grace of the teacher is the root of liberation. The feet of the teacher are the root of worship. We salute to all the teacher who has experienced oneness with the ultimate, and we salute to all the teachers whose form is an indivisible present everywhere and pervades both living and non-living manifestation. We salute to all the teachers who are adorned with the garland of absolute reality and eternal tranquil cognizance and grants worldly prosperity and liberations. To all the supreme teachers, we bow to your lotus feet in total surrender. SV Colleges has carved out for itself a big name and is recognized as the foremost educational institution. I would like to say that our college promotes enthusiasm among faculty and students by participating in different aspects and prepares the faculty and students to adapt the challenges of an ever changing world of tomorrow. Now, let us go with a small promo which explores more about our college. promo shows that SV Colleges is continuously striving to achieve excellence in all the departments. The college sets some benchmarks in the academia and is relentlessly trying to achieve the heights in rendering the world class education. Now it's time to welcome our honorable dignitaries. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our principal of SV Engineering College for Women, Dr. T. Koshmata Reddy ma'am, to deliver the welcome speech. Madam, please.
Thank you, Vanishri. Honorable dignitaries for the third phase of STP program, participants from various geographical locations, and the convener of this STP program, Dr. Vanishri, and HOD of Science and Humanities, Dr. Sunitha Reddy, and HODs of ECE, EEE, CSE, and IT, and faculties from SV Engineering College, and the faculty representing from various degree engineering and other colleges from various geographical locations, and research scholars from various parts of India and abroad. A warm good morning to one and all present here. In theory, most of us know we should be prepared for anything like this current global COVID 19 pandemic. But the reality is, we can sometimes feel woefully unequipped to handle all the curveballs life throws our way. Let's face it, sometimes it is hard to be a grown up, and some of the time we are so focused on ensuring our children learn their own life skills that we forget to make sure we are learning the life skills we need from our family, we need workplace, or for living. There are several life skills we will need both in and out of the workplace, which includes communication skills, resiliency, decision making skills, cooperation, ability to accept constructive criticism, time management skills, and technological skills. Mastering essential life skills can allow you to more effectively manage common challenges that come up at work and even position you for more rapid advancement or pay increase. While there are specific life skills that employees look for in candidates, many life skills aren't taught in school. Life skills take practice, development, and an understanding that there is always room for improvement. In this STTP, we have resource persons dealing what life skills are and how you can develop the many life skills you need in the workplace. Hope you all will gain enough knowledge in these sessions. What Dr. Vanessa has rightly said, we have a tremendous response for all this phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We hope the complete STTP program, which is mainly on communication, interpersonal, and life skills, has achieved its objective, and the program is a grand success as far as ours is concerned. And I feel the same response I'm expecting even from the participants also. Thank you, Vanishri, and all the best for the participants for this 1 week program.
Thank you,
Over to
ma'am, for
Vanishri.
your entrancing speech, which encourages us in all the facets. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. The fragrance of flowers spreads, only in the direction of the wind, but the goodness of the person spreads in all the directions, who encourages the learners in all the ways possible. I'm profusely elated to take an opportunity to introduce our honorable keynote speaker, Professor Murli Krishna sir, HOD Department of English, Usmania University, Hyderabad. Let me share my screen. Professor C. Professor C. Murli Krishna sir is presently working as a professor and head Department of English in Usmania University, Hyderabad. He is also the director ELTC Usmania University UGC SAB GRS2 coordinator Department of English UCASS Usmania University, Hyderabad. Formerly, he worked as a professor and head in the Department of English and also coordinator for English Language Teaching Center ELTC Nizam College, Hyderabad. He has around 29 years of rich teaching experience at the UG, PG, MPhil, and PhD levels. He has published more than 21 research articles and has presented many papers at international and national conferences and seminars. He has been an editor and an author and has published 16 books, and these books are widely used by many institutions in different parts of the country. Sorry.
और एक बार देखना पड़ता है.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Different parts of the country, such as communication skills for engineers, communication skills for BE students, that too for Rajiv Gandhi Pratyeka Vishwavidyalaya, Rajasthan, Advantage English, English for better performance, a textbook of English prose and drama, skills in English, all three books published by Orient Black Swan, 20th Century Literacy Criticism and Theory published by Center of Distance Education, Osmania University. He has also been the editor of Osmania Journal of English Studies, 2016 special issue on ELT-EL studies, the special issue of International Journal of English Language Literature Skills, IJELLS, on making the English classroom more inclusive, in April 2014. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, some network issue. The SAP DRS-1 2013 journal, New Orientations in Literature and Language Teaching. His thrust areas are communication skills, LSRW, study and soft skills, presentation skills, fluency training, ELT, British literature, American literature, and Indian English literature. His other fields of interest are music, sports, and the science of yoga. Under his able guidance, 6 scholars got MPhil and 10 awarded with PhD, and 8 more PhD scholars are currently working under his guidance. Ma'am, are you able to see the screen? Hello?
Yeah, yes, madam, you are able.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, because I couldn't like able to see here. Sorry. His thrust areas are communication skills, LSRW, study and soft skills, presentation skills, fluency training, ELT, British literature, American literature, and Indian English literature. His other field of interest are music, sports, and science of yoga. Under his able guidance, 6 scholars got MPhil and 10 awarded with PhD, and 8 more PhD scholars are currently working. He has been a resource person and trainer and given more than 130 guest extension lectures in many prestigious universities, institutions, government and private organizations like BHL, NTPC, Sierra Atlantic, Andhra Pradesh, Judicial Academy, Research Center Imarat, that is RCI, DRDO, UGC Academic Staff College, state and central universities, colleges, NITs, and many more.
Madam, can you make a slideshow, madam? Okay.
So, sir, it is indeed a momentous occasion for all of us. We welcome you to address the August gathering. Sir, please, Murli Krishna, sir.
Yes, Dr. Manishi. Thank you for a very generous introduction, Dr. Manishi. The principal of SV Engineering College, Tirupati, Professor Annie Puthan, uh, the conveners of this program, dear colleagues from different parts of the state and the country, and yeah, if there are any researchers, good morning to all of you. I feel humbly honored by this invitation to give a keynote address on this occasion. Uh, this whole idea of uh, life skills at workplace as part of desirous dexterity and career concerns. People have been talking about this particular topic, and there are various views on this. And today, let me share my views on life skills at workplace. The other leading line here in the title, desire is dexterity, it reminds me of one of the popular definitions of yoga. Somebody said yoga is dexterity in action. Uh, Dexterity in action is a wonderful way to look at this dexterity. And so basically, when you talk about life skills, you're also talking about the end product that disciplines like yoga and others result in. So I'll take off from there and try to share my views on this. Now, definition, how do you define life skills? Now, any skill that is necessary to survive and live out your life can be seen as life skill. Like it includes standing up, standing straight, sitting down, walking, running, hopping, cutting, cooking, all these skills, talking. So I think all these physical movements which we have uh, grown with, these actions, all these come under life skills in a very broad sense. But when you're talking about life skills at workplace or life skills for for academics, you're slightly talking about other related skills like negotiation, creativity, interpersonal skills, and these life skills, they just not are important only at the workplace, they're important in other aspects of life also. Like any aspect of life, you need life skills to do well, to strike a good rapport with people, and to proceed with the different activities you thought about doing in a smooth and organized manner. So life skills in that sense has a broad kind of applicability, and the idea of life skills at workplace has gained momentum because of the kind of importance workplace has acquired. We are concentrating more at workplace because it is the economic zone. It is the bread and butter of all of us. It doesn't mean that you need not have life skills when you're in the house or when you're in the kitchen or when you're interacting with people outside your office. There's nothing like death skills. No, there's nothing like the opposite of life skills. So you need life skills everywhere. And yes, in the context of workplace, becomes sharper and comes more under focus. So, in that sense, these are very generic skills, and also called as employability skills, very desirable skills, which are different from, say, swimming or walking or climbing, which are the primordial skills that we have gained over a period of time. Now, I would like to talk about two metaphors while describing life skills. One is a metaphor of a leather, piece of leather. A piece of leather is very soft, but it is also very tenacious. It's got the tenacity, doesn't break easily. So, life skills, the other name for life skills has also been soft skills. So, life skills are very soft skills, they are not hard skills, but these are soft skills which embody hardness, which embody a kind of tenacity that is, aptly, you can see that in a piece of leather. So it's like that. You're flexible, you're adaptable to any context, but at the same time, you're firm. So that is one metaphor I can think of. The other metaphor um, is the metaphor of the flight takeoff and flight landing. Um, People who are slightly low on the, driving skills or piloting skills, first of all, they're not allowed to take the risk. But in case if something happens, if they are slightly not well and their skills undergo a dip, then the takeoff and the landing will be very risky and jerky. There might be breakdowns, and there might be bigger uh, kind of a tragedy. So if you lack soft skills, if you lack soft skills, nothing much may happen. If you lack these, life skills, but there are chances that it's very very jerky, very very rough, not smooth, and you're likely to uh, land yourself in calamities and problems. So it is a very subtle kind of a component in everybody's, uh, very subtle type of a desirable component, life skills, which everybody should cultivate, nurture, and if they already have, to fine tune that and proceed further. So these two metaphors, along with the definition I have given, dexterity in action, they sort of embody the resilience that people talk, the tenacity that people talk about when they're talking about life skills. So, in that sense, it is important in the workplace, and just as it is important in places outside the workplace also. Then, of course, while at workplace, there are uh, so many challenges, and your attitude, like they said, the communicative success is not just LSRW, it's not just listening, speaking, reading, writing, but it is also the 90% of communicative success is the non-verbal skills, which includes your attitude towards everything, towards the person you're talking to, towards your colleagues, towards your students. So this forms part of, this is got a major kind of a impact on the communicative success in a given context. So, for example, I just saw the brochure there. People have mentioned somebody is talking about curiosity. Well, curiosity, to understand curiosity, like they said, curiosity killed a cat. No, but curiosity, if you try to look at it from a different point of view, it is basically this maintaining the skill to learn something, learning. Um, Unfortunately, some people feel that they have reached the end of learning, but the moment that happens, then you start rusting, and you start behaving very haughtily, and in workplace it's very important not to deal people in a haughty manner, and developing this condescending attitude towards your colleagues, towards even your students. This can be so diabolic, so negative. So to avoid that, it's important to not to forego, not to allow this skill of learning. How to learn is an important. Learning itself is a very desirable life skill, and how to learn anything, how to learn, that is also very important. Each one has a strategy to learn new things, so we should be aware of that strategy, of how to learn a new thing, so not to lose this. As I said, many people have this problem of feeling that they have become experts at something, and learning to learn is very, very important to maintain that kind of a balance. And you also, there is no stopping to your learning, and you are in tune with your evolutionary process. As long as you cultivate, you maintain that willingness to learn many things, and that also lends you a certain kind of a equanimity while dealing with colleagues. So that is about learning. And then of course we have the other expression, written out there, etiquette. Etiquette is also a lot of implications is there. Like you have, this is how you, what kind of manners you bring to the table, table metaphorically also and literally also. What kind of interpersonal relations you have, and this is one place where cross-cultural or interpersonal awareness is very important. How you behave with people coming from other cultures. In a workplace, you're not always dealing with people from your own culture. You're also inviting people from outside states, from outside country. So you need to be culturally very sensitive. And like for example, many people in India and many people from other countries, they avoid a handshake. Uh, they just nod, they just bend or do a namaskar that is done in many parts of India. And ironically, now that has become a very safe way of greeting in this COVID times. Avoiding handshake has become commonplace now. So this is just an example of cultural, and how you address somebody, how you sort of what kind of a, how what kind of rapport you develop with your senior colleagues, with your younger colleagues. These are all culturally related. So cross-cultural awareness is very important when it comes to etiquette. And the other life skill, creative, uh, more than creative thinking, it's creativity. All of us are endowed with creativity. Creativity is not a sole proprietary kind of talent which only scientists and writers and painters have. Each one of us is creative in some way or other. We need to bring creativity at workplace also. New ways of trying to solve regular routine problems, new ways of coming to certain, going through the tasks at workplace. So creativity can happen through visioning new things. It can happen through exploring, modifying existing patterns. So all of us are capable of creativity, right from your kitchen place to your workplace. There is a scope for manifesting and applying your creativity. Its creativity can be developed in so many ways, and there are lots of literature written about creativity, and it's important that schools and our colleges also, like they say that the right half of the human brain is the seat of creativity, the left half of the human brain is the seat of reasoning and rationality. Very often there is a lopsided development which our schools impose on students. Either they become extremely logical, they're extremely rational, and they kill their creative talents. Like somebody would like to dance, somebody would like to do regular singing or do gymnastics or do sports. That is not so much given encouragement. So there is a kind of a unequal development that happens. This has to be avoided, and it's a workplace. We need to ensure that things appealed equally to the right brain and the left brain. There is scope for creativity, and it's very important to be in touch with the creative propensities that we have. And one way of, you know, being in touch with your creativity is not to feel stressed out. That is, which is, you know, overcoming stress is another important life skill. There is good stress, there is bad stress everywhere. It's important. Good stress is important for the circulation, for you, for it. It checks you from becoming lethargic, indolent, and complacent, and it helps the circulation, both literally and metaphorically. You're active, but you need to be watchful about the bad stress. uh, and bad stress can happen because of bad happenings. But how you, more than reacting to bad situations, bad happenings, it's important to develop response. uh, More than reaction, response is important. A kind of a informed, mature response allows you to enjoy the stress, and that kind of relaxation is very vital for your creative juices to flow. Then, of course, there is the stock of empathy everywhere. That's also considered a very important life skill. And in fact, when we talk about, the people are talking about empathetic listening. Now, listening, not just hearing and not being indifferently following somebody what the other person is talking about, but actually getting into the shoes of the other person, trying to understand what they are going through. It's like being there. That kind of an empathetic listening is also very, very therapeutic. It heals people from, um, this kind of a feeling that they are not being understood. So empathetic listening, and this whole idea of relating to the problems of your colleagues, relating to the problems of your student, that's very important. And it should not stem from kind of a note of sympathy. People don't require our sympathy. People require your compassion, kind of empathetic understanding. Compassion is generally said as common passion. So you should share that kind of a problem of the other person. That's very vital for interpersonal harmony. So the whole binary of response on one side and reactive, being reactionary on the other side, that's, we should choose to respond to adverse situations, not just react. So that calls in for a lot of maturity, which comes over a period of time, informed choices that you need. Then, of course, the idea of problem solving, and every day at workplace and outside workplace, there are challenges. You need to solve those problems. You need to overcome and come up with some solutions. So here again, our negotiation skills come handy. I think it was John F. Kennedy who said, "Never fear to negotiate. Never be afraid to negotiate with the other person in tough situations, but never negotiate out of fear." Unquote. This is what he said. So it's important to not come from a zone of fear and negotiate. It's important to come from an open mind, be bold, and then negotiate uh, while being very, very assertive. One need not be aggressive. Again, the binary of aggression on one side and assertiveness. It's important to be assertive, and it's important not to give the impression that you're weak. That's why assertiveness is important. I really have to genuinely have to be assertive, and never slip into aggression. That is where I think once things become very aggressive and dominating at workplace, it really vitiates the atmosphere. So it's very important to solve problems through negotiation. Again, creativity helps there, and in an atmosphere of one to one and equal, it should be a level playing field that you should create at workplace, so that problems get solved, or at least solutions come easily to very, very naughty problems. Then, of course, critical thinking. It's important not to be just a blind consumer of ideas, but to subject every idea, every proposal to a certain kind of a open-minded, this kind of a critical critiquing, not just simply criticism. Critiquing is what comprises critical thinking, and of course the idea of self-discovery. Now, this is a very big subject. Self discovery, also known as self realization and your self analysis, knowledge about oneself. Because everywhere, all major traditions have, they are one. They agree on one thing, that the microcosm, once you understand the microcosm yourself, you understand the macrocosm easily. So the micro and the macro, instead of trying to understand the macro, it's important to understand the micro first, because all our abilities are also, they are seen as just tips of the iceberg. There's so much to explore. There's so much to the untapped potential that all of us have. It's important to make effort to realize that. So in that sense, in certain interiorizing is important, certain looking into is important, and trying to harness your untapped potential. All this comes handy in your life and work at workplace also. Um, Also, when the idea of not stressing out, maintaining a relaxed kind of a attitude is very important. So I think it is generally said that you have to avoid worry, you have to avoid curry, and you have to also avoid hurry. We are not simplifying that, but to look at it critically, what it means is worrying about a tough problem really doesn't help. It's like a rocking chair. It keeps you busy, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's like running on the treadmill. You feel that you're running, but when you're spending energy and you're also getting exercise, but you have not traveled anywhere. You're there only. So worrying is like that. So also, when you talk about curry, what they mean is you're talking about unhealthy diet. One of the life skills today, one of the challenges as far as life skills are concerned, is the ability to determine what is good, what is healthy, and avoid the unnecessary, just being the you sort of you anything that is you seek the pleasure and it kills the like you please the tongue and it kills the body, you please the tongue and it kills the body. You need not carry it to the other extent, but very being very discerning about what you eat is very important. Too much of spicy food can cause inefficiency, can cause unnecessary stress, and it affects your efficiency everywhere, including your workplace. And the idea of worry is, worrying is closely connected with the idea of being constantly in a hurry. Restlessness is to be avoided, and a kind of a certain level of restfulness has to be hard earned. Restfulness is not easy to acquire, and it is not laziness. There is something, a deeper content that has to be acquired and maintained for you to be creative, for you to negotiate with people amicably. And that can come when you know the techniques of relaxing. And this is where I think creativity is very important. Dimension to be one of the goals to be attempted. We need to constantly keep that as a focus to try and realize our potential. And it is, I think Robinson was the person who's recently passed away. He once mentioned, why can't we have a regular class, say a dance class every day? Have you ever thought about a dance class, or have you ever thought of a singing class every day on par with mathematics or languages, or even chemistry? Our curriculums are so biased. We don't seem to have thought much about creativity, but that is where it is going to really make a difference. Workplaces also make a difference when creativity is given a scope to be expressed. And relaxation also helps you tap into your subconscious. Subconscious, as most of you are aware, is a very, very powerful friend. But you know how to befriend. We should know how to befriend the subconscious. If you're tense all the time, if you're totally distanced from peaceful restfulness, your subconscious is not accessible to you. So it's important to enjoy a deep restfulness, a sense of relaxation, and wonderful things are possible to happen because all of us are capable of realizing our full potential, which we have not realized in all these years. Whatever brilliance we have exhibited is just a tip of the iceberg. That's the whole idea of creativity and interiorizing your attitude. Also about self-discovery. Then, of course, we have mentioned here about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. I was talking to you about, just telling you about response as against reaction. It's also ability to face failure, you know, um, upfront, and the ability to bounce back from repeated failures is a sign of great emotional intelligence. And I think that has to be cultivated. You should invite failures and see how you overcome them. So never ever resent failure, because ultimate focus, ultimate success will be theirs only if you sort of persevere. And in that sense, failures are like fertilizers, and they should not be seen as stumbling blocks. And goal setting is another life skill which people have been talking about. The whole idea of direction. If you set goals, you know where to go. A certain kind of planning is important. Not that everything happens as per your plan, but planning helps because it is said that man proposes and God disposes. That's very true. Providence disposes in its own way, but it's important not to stop proposing also, um, because it gives you a direction and it also gives you a certain mindset where you hope for the best and you are also prepared for the worst. So it's important not to stop setting up plans, proposals, but you're also prepared for any kind of outcome. Work towards it. So as the Gita says, to work itself, you have a right, not to really bother about the fruits thereof. I think there's a lot of deep philosophy, deep psychological principle involved in that one statement from the Gita. You need to focus all your energies on the work, leave the rest to how Providence plays it out. You might reap whatever you want to reap, you may not reap also. It might come out in another manner, in another kind of a shape. So you should be prepared for any kind of outcome. But it's important not to lose sight of your work, your immediate plans, and this gives you the right mindset to gel well in interpersonal relations everywhere, including our workplace, is spot on. And I think I'll stop there because students are you're all teachers at engineering college, most of you, and this host is also an engineering college. So today we are talking about inner engineering. Inner engineering is nothing but whatever all great great treatises, traditions across the world have been talking about this whole idea of looking in and attuning yourself to realize your full potential. This is in the engineering, and I think we should be the right. We are in the right place, all of you. As teachers, you have access to hundreds of students, and it's important not to feel bored about this use of life skills, this term life skills, soft skills, but understand its dimensions, as the potential for a great kind of development for both for the teachers as well as for their students. So I stop there, and I thank everybody, and I wish everybody uh, best of luck in their pursuits. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your words like the metaphors of life skills, different etiquettes, interpersonal awareness, self-discovery, and how to tune ourselves. These words not only catch us to our mind but also catch us to our heart. and it is like a spectrum which enlightens all of us. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Now, let me take a privilege to introduce our guest speaker, Professor Annie Poton, ma'am. She is a teacher who plants the seeds of knowledge, sprinkles them with love, and patiently nurtures the growth of her students to produce tomorrow's dreams. Professor Annie Poton, ma'am, she is a former head of the Department of English, PG College, Usmania University. She has many achievements to her credit. She is an academic topper and received gold medals in MA and PhD. She is renowned public speaker, gave deliberations on variety of topics. Under her able guidance, more than 35 scholars got MPhil and PhDs, and many scholars are working under her supervision. She is a renowned public speaker, gave deliberations on variety of topics. She has delivered more than 100 lectures and training sessions for faculty of schools, colleges and universities, including NIT Warangal and other parts of India. She has specialized in soft skills training with 2 UGC projects to her credit. Apart from her many books and research articles, she published 2 volumes of poetry, that is Soul Reflections by Amazon and Aldous Huxley, Indian Thought, English Conversation Practice, and many more. She got many exemplary awards such as Certificate of Excellence by the University of Arizona, USA for paradoxic poetry in English, felicitated on 2 occasions on International Women's Day by the Press Club of Hyderabad in 2010 and also by the Vice Men's Club in 2015. So, ma'am, we are pleased to invite you to say a few words to ameliorate our knowledge. Ma'am, over to you. Hello, Annie, ma'am. Hello, Annie, ma'am. Hello. Is Annie ma'am there? Hello, Annie ma'am. I couldn't able to see Annie ma'am. Maybe our network got disconnected. Sir, shall we wait for 2 minutes, sir? Maybe ma'am that got disconnected. I think it's so. She's there.
Me?
Now they can hear you.
How do you know?
Ma'am,
Good
please.
morning, everyone. Can you hear? Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank God. Good morning, everyone. Um, I agree the principal of the SV College, the coordinator Vani Shri, my colleague Professor Murli, who has just delivered the address, and all those who have logged in. A wonderful day to all of you. And now I would start my presentation by asking you a very simple question. When you woke up this morning and you looked out to the window, what thought came to your mind? I'll give you the choices. A, oh, how terrible. One more boring day for me to do the same old things. Or was it like two, how wonderful, I have another new day for me to learn new things and to generally improve myself. Now let me tell you, if your response was one, that is how boring, I think that will not really help us in life on a daily basis. But if your response was two, like, how wonderful, another new day for me to learn something, for me to improve myself and in turn improve others. Being positive in life, I think is at the center, is at the core, because so much depends on how we perceive things. Let me start by tapping on the very core of what we call today life skills, also called soft skills, as Professor Murli has told you, and sometimes it is also called key skills. These skills are very important. I'll tell you why. Way back in 300 and odd BC, Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, gave us a very holistic definition of education. Aristotle said, education should be, number one, athletic for the body, two, intellectual for the mind, and three, spiritual for the soul. Let us now look at this quotation and analyze it in the context of our present educational systems worldwide. What do we find? Do we fulfill the criteria of holistic education? I mean, that is a point for all of us to ponder, to analyze. All of us are in the field of education, and I'm sure all of us have the same goals and views in our mind when we talk about the whole system. But the question is whether we like it or not, whether you agree with me or not. The fact remains that one of the major allegations against the system of education, against the quality of education, is that we have now reduced educational institutions to educational factories. And what do we do in these factories? Of course, we churn out degrees. We give, students all kinds of degrees. But does that degree mean that you are qualified to live life well? I mean, do our learners, are they able to live life efficiently? So today we have a new norm. We have a new norm, and I'm saying worldwide. We have a concept called education for life. Education for life, not education just for a degree, not education for a piece of paper. See, that might get you a job at the most, but it's only that. Education for life includes, as we are discussing this morning, all the kind of skills that a child from age 2 grows into an adult, and by the time the child reaches almost the end of his life, the full-blown adult, he or she should be equipped with what we call, there's another word for soft skills and life skills, and that is called key skills, K-E-Y. Why are they called key skills? Because they're important. Because they are very necessary for us to live life well. So I am very happy that, your college has zeroed in on these life skills. Because without these life skills, I think life becomes like only theory and more theory. These skills give us an opportunity to practice, as Professor Murli has told you. I think he has mentioned almost all the skills. So I will not mention any particular skill, but I will draw your attention to certain perspectives of the skill. So there we have education for life, and we are all learners. I think you all will agree with me. We are all learners from the womb to the tomb. Even the last day of our lives, we will be still learning. We will be still making mistakes, but that's wonderful, because that gives us an opportunity to become better. One of the topics in soft skills, what I taught in the lecture, is called becoming better. Becoming better. Now let me draw your attention to what we have been all along familiar with. In fact, I have grown up in that system. And that is the acquiring of hard skills. What are hard skills? Hard skills are professional skills. That is your core knowledge skills. And we are supposed to be very good in that, because all our student lives we will be focusing on that. Hard skills, professional skills, core knowledge skills. But today I'll tell you why this great transition has happened. It has happened because of great changes in the society we live in. I'll talk to you a little bit about the evolution. We started off with agrarian societies. Then we came into industrial. Then we became urbanized. Then we became liberalized. Today we live in a globalized environment. What does globalization mean in our context? It means that all of us, whether we are in the field of education or outside, we should match global standards of excellence. Professor Murli and I, or Dr. Vanishri, the principal of this college, we cannot say, oh, we are teaching in a particular city in India, so it's enough for us to have local standards. No. I think all of us, we have to match international or global standards of excellence. I'm trying to tell you that the onus of becoming better is on all of us. And as educators, it becomes very imperative for us to have these skills. Because unless you have those skills in you, you will not be able to give it to your learners. Let me talk about that. See, at the very outset, you talk about these skills. You say, okay, I have to learn this skill. I have to imbibe that skill. That's wonderful. But please remember, that is only at the beginning. Gradually what happens is those skills become an integral part of your personality. So it is difficult to separate you from that skill. Let me explain that to you. These soft skills or life skills, or what I call key skills, gradually should become our lifestyle. It's not a skill that you learn and practice and you say, okay, I know the skill now. It doesn't work like that. You see, gradually it becomes a lifestyle. So your personality becomes an embodiment of that skill. When you teach in class, when you talk to scholars, you don't have to practice that skill. They can catch it from you because it is there in your personality. Let me give you an example. You have had that communication skill, right? You talked a lot about that, I'm sure, in the earlier sessions. All right. You have a skill called listening. You have a skill called listening. And normally I find that people explain listening as listening to somebody very carefully. I mean, you 4 stages, you hear, you understand, you analyze, and you respond. Okay, that is good listening. That is effective listening. But I'll tell you something this morning. Keen listening, alert listening, of course, can be practiced over a period of time. But listen to the sentence I saw in a book on psychology. It is entitled, "Please listen carefully to what I am not saying." Please listen carefully to what I am not saying. You know, in our present what they're saying, it's all right. I mean, you can get the whole thing. But what they are not telling you, you must have an extra year. I think your 2 years won't be sufficient. I'm only joking, all right? So that is what I'm saying. You have to look at these skills as teachers, as educators. You have to look at it from a slightly different perspective. Because the skill and you should not be separated. The skill is you and you are part of the skill. So that's what I'm saying. Like we have to be very, very careful when we talk about skills. And at this point, let me make just a comment that as teachers, as educators, you are center stage. You hold center stage, which means that automatically you should have qualities of leadership. You should have qualities of a leader. And please remember that as a teacher, as a leader, as an educator, when you address people, when you interact with them, your personality should be strong, powerful. I'll tell you why. In life, I believe, there are only 2 positions in which we can be. There are only 2 positions. Number 1, you have a strong personality. So you automatically influence others. Number 2, you do not have such a strong personality. Therefore, what happens is others influence you more. As teachers, as educators, I think it is mandatory for all of us to be in position number 1. And that can happen not just with the knowledge of hard skills, not just with your core knowledge skills. You need to combine that with this whole variety of soft skills, or what we have called life skills. You call them life skills, yes. Why are they called life skills? Because you need it in the personal context, you need it in the professional context. I mean, you can't make like watertight compartments, no. Part of what you do at home flows over into your workplace. I mean, I've seen many women teachers. They have this, this soft skill of nurturing. It comes to them naturally. I'm not saying that men don't have it, don't get me wrong. I'm saying that this nurturing skill comes very easily to women without any effort. Because they are nurturers, see, what they do. They nurture life, they nurture growth. So that soft skills becomes very, very clear and well defined. So this is important, that every day we keep track of how much are we learning. And I think that there is no end. There is no end. There is so much we can learn in soft skills. For example, you have a soft skill called. I'm happy that you're aware of all these skills and that you realize how important they are in our daily, social intercourse. Very important. You have a topic like etiquette and grooming. You have a topic like etiquette and grooming. Why is grooming so important? You might ask. Somebody said, "Madam, should we not leave that to people in the modeling field and in the media?" I said, "No." I said, grooming should also be part of our personality, because that is how you create a good image of yourself. Or what is etiquette? I'll give you an example. Two men were walking along the road, and they came to a narrow place. It was very narrow, only one of them could pass. It was impossible for both them to use that place at the same time. So one man told the other, he said, so one of them only had to use that place. He said, "I don't make way for a scoundrel. I don't make way for a scoundrel." This man, he had etiquette. He looked at him, stepped aside gently and said, "But I do. But I do." You see, there was no exchange of anger and bad words. Even that insult, he gave it so politely. So that is the point I'm trying to make this morning, that the knowledge of soft skills, the imbibing of soft skills gives all of us a refined personality. It gives us a refined personality. We may be good in our subject, wonderful, but that should come across from a refined personality. How is that possible? Through the knowledge of soft skills. Let me highlight one more basic difference between knowledge of hard skills, professional skills, and knowledge of soft skills. I'll tell you. In hard skills, you have competitors. You say, I am the best in this class, and that other person is not as good as I am, see? So your competition becomes X by Z. Hard skills makes you competitive. Hard skills makes you focus entirely on yourself. But let me give you some good news. Soft skills is not like that. Soft skills focuses more on the other. For example, in soft skills, you don't have competition from outside, because you are your own competitor. You start comparing yourself with how you were, let us say, 1 month back, and how am I today. That's the comparison. That's the competition. And soft skills also makes you aware of being considerate to others. It's not so much about me. In hard skills, it's all about me. The knowledge I possess. The number of references I can quote for you. That's hard skills. Soft skills, we don't do that. We step back a little and we try to focus on the comfort, the needs, and the requirements of the other. So I think this is the most beautiful thing I discovered in soft skills, that it really softens your personality. Let me tell you, let me put it like that. It softens your personality. It makes you conscious. That's why one of another point I'll tell you in this connection is that 3 things matter. 3 things matter in soft skills. I'm sure many of you know this already, but I'm trying to emphasize. Number 1, your attitude. As Professor Murli has already told you, see, your attitude, your behavior, and the way you speak. Your behavior, let me tell you guys, always remember that from the time you leave your house in the morning until the time you get back, what is happening, you're not aware. We must realize that from the time we leave our house until the time we go back, we are being carefully observed by others. You may not realize that, you may not know it even, but it's happening. People are observing you carefully, and it's alright, it's not just observing, they are also judging you. They are trying to understand what kind of personality do you have. Let me give you another example. Teachers, educators, you take such a focal place in the lives of other people. You don't realize that. You're being carefully observed. You're being judged. Your language is being observed. The way you speak is being observed. Your attitude is being observed. Your behavior is being observed. So we should be extremely careful the way we speak. I don't know, but I think the culture of the workplace, that is your focus today, right? Yeah. The culture of your workplace should be such that every word should be spoken with caution. And I'm talking about this in the formal context. In formal context, you have fun and you speak, that's different. But in front of your learners, remember they are observing you from the crown of your head, the soles of your feet. We sometimes think that they're only listening to our lecture. No, they're doing much more. They're doing much more. They're observing you carefully. Many times when we go for public lectures, they are asked to speak on a variety of topics. And you have people from all over the country and sometimes other parts of the world. And they are listening to us. And we sometimes we get excited, thinking, oh, how well they're listening to us. But actually, they are trying to figure out certain personality traits, like what is your attitude, how are you behaving, in what manner are you speaking. I think the way we speak is so important because it reflects our entire personality. What do they say? The face is the index of the mind, the eyes are the windows of the soul. So actually when we speak, we expose our souls. And believe me, your words are powerful. The language we use is powerful. The words we use, is deliberate. And as teachers of English, Professor Murli will also agree with me, we are very, very careful in the way we use words because we know that words have power, Vocabulary is very meaningful. Use your language to build up others. It's so easy for us to condemn, so easy to criticize. In soft skills, you don't do that. In soft skills, you draw attention to the other person's merits first. I know the typical attitude is you have to find a lot of mistakes, and you have to make many uncharitable comments. That's in the school of hard skills. But in soft skills, we do a little bit of diversion. We try to highlight to the learner his or her merits. And then, gradually we talk about the drawbacks. And why do you have a drawback? Have you heard about strengths and weakness? Strengths and weakness. In self-awareness, self-analysis, all these topics are quite tough. In self-awareness, you become aware of your strengths and your drawbacks. And when you talk about drawbacks, the idea is to convert that drawback into a strength, not to allow it to remain as a drawback. Now, one point I would like to point out in self-analysis, very, very important for all of us. In whatever stage we are in, doesn't matter. Self-analysis, the key lesson there is seeing yourself as others see you. Oh, that's tough. I'll tell you. All of us like to believe that we are good enough, all of us. It becomes necessary, otherwise we cannot live. We have to believe that we are good. But in self-analysis, what we do is, we try to see ourselves the way others see us. And believe me, that will not be very flattering. That will not be very complimentary, but that's how we learn. That's how we learn. We have to do sometimes reality checks. Why do we do that? So that with every passing day we become better. And we become better, I remember a quotation which my English teacher in school, St. Anne's School, she wrote in my autograph on the day we were leaving. You have that get together and you have that farewell and things. And I just gave her my autograph and she scribbled. She wrote so beautifully. She said, good, better, best. never let it rest until you make your good better and your better best. I used to treasure that autograph because I mean that's what you do when you're 15, right? Yes, I treasured it and I used to look at it now and then when I found time. And then I began to analyze that quotation in the light of globalization. I said, okay, my teacher, I mean, God bless her, she taught me so much. And I believe that most of the learning, I do not know about you, but most of the learning which I did was in the school. It, of course, you learn the subject, but you know about life and about how you should do that. I learned basically from school. So I looked at the quotation and I said it has a degree of comparison, it has good, it has better, it has best. Good.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Actually, the next is also
Yeah.
waiting, madam, for
I'm
the
so
session. I'm
sorry.
sorry,
I'm so
sorry,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, on
Extremely
that
sorry.
note, I will conclude saying that you should, today the word you should use is excellence. No good, better, best. It has to be excellent. Thank you so much for all of you for listening to me. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, madam. I'm sorry.
No,
Thank you,
actually,
ma'am. Yes.
I spoke so much. I didn't know I spoke so much. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Your speech is a bracing one and enlightened us in many aspects, like how different skills are the integral part in ourselves and how to create a good image with live example.
Yeah. Yeah.
We find our work meaningful when our actions result in fulfilling our own highly
Yeah.
valued aims, attaining competence, experiencing positive self regard, and forming significant connections to our jobs, peers, higher authorities, and organizations and institutions. According to survey, more than 12,000 employees across the organizations, institutions, or industries indicated that 50% of respondents lacked a sense of meaning and significance at workplace. When, as an employee, if we lack a sense of meaning in our work, we become disengaged and our performance and career development can suffer. This lack of meaningfulness at work which increases stress and absenteeism. So today, our resource person, Dr. Lata Christie, Senior Scientist, DRDO Bangalore, will guide us on how we can enhance the meaningfulness of our work by adopting the curious mindset. But before going to that, let me take a privilege to introduce our today's resource person. Dr. Lata Christie, she is currently working as a senior scientist in DRDO Bangalore, India. She has more than 32 years of affluent experience. She graduated with honors in electronics and communication engineering from Government College of Engineering, Tamil Nadu. She pursued her master's and PhD in aerospace engineering at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. She holds an international executive diploma in project management from I2P2M in collaboration with George Washington University School of Business, Washington, D.C., USA. Her desire in the spiritual realm led to her to obtain a Master of Divinity from South Asia Bible College, Bangalore, and MA in Christian Studies from the Madras University and training in apologetics from RZIM, India. She is also a certified counselor from Word of Life, USA. She has published more than 70 papers in peer reviewed journals and conferences. She gave many lecture sessions, and many of them can be seen in YouTube, such as Life Changing Testimony, Search for True Love is More Than a Chemical Rush, Science and Faith in Conflict and Harmony, and many more. She is a lead talk speaker who crossed many hurdles and have been through the refining fire and became prominent in her profession. She got many other exemplary awards, such as she was awarded the prestigious Professor Satish Dhawan Award for Engineers instituted by the Government of Karnataka for her outstanding achievements in engineering sciences for the year 2014, awarded by the Chief Minister. The Agni Team Award for her excellence in the self-reliance, and the Best Technical Paper Award for papers submitted at various conferences. She has authored 4 books such as coupled resonator slow wave structures for traveling wave tubes and analysis, electromagnetic modeling of waveguide discontinuities and analysis, when the flame flickers emerging from marital abuse, beyond the boundaries of science exploring the cosmic story. She is the host of the Science and Religion web series called The Grand Cosmic Story. All the love in the universe was packed in a single capsule and landed on our puny little planet around 2000 years ago to cure all the broken hearts of the world once and for all. This is the saying of Dr. Lata Trustee, Madam. So, hearty welcome, ma'am. We are on the edge of our seats to listen your words. Now, I hand over the session to you, ma'am. Please.
Vani Shri, make me co-host. I'm unable to unmute. Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you, Vani, and thank you, Professor Kalpalata ma'am, for inviting me to this wonderful lecture series. And today my talk is quite interesting. This is about curiosity in the workplace. Curiosity is a powerful motivator in humans, and the world's greatest innovators are passionately curious. Their wide interest and curiosity enable them to apply ideas across divergent fields, improving upon the ideas of others, synthesizing ideas, and discovering patterns from different fields to generate new ideas. How, we all know that kids are more curious and they often ask questions. How often do you think kids ask questions? About 70 to 80% of the time they are talking, they ask questions. Now tell me how often adults ask questions. About 15 to 25% during their conversations. That is only about 1/3 less than kids. So why this questioning nature reduces? So this particular numbers, how much kids are asking and how much adults are asking, this came from the poll by Tom and Neeti. They conducted a poll and then they have documented in their Harvard Business Review article, Relearning the Art of Asking Questions. Picasso once said, every child is an artist. The problem is staying an artist as you grow up. But somewhere along the line, we forget to ask questions. We forget that we are born to be an artist. So I invite you today for my talk by asking to get into this moment, to step back to your childhood, where we question the world, where we are curious about everything. We were natural observant. Actually, the world is so intelligent. Somebody has intelligently done it. And he has given us the intelligence so that we can understand that and find out the person who created it. So that's why we need to question everything. We need to question at the nature. Why nature is fine-tuned? Why laws of physics are fine-tuned? The average schooler asks around 100 questions today. We should know from, we should learn from those schoolers. For the vast majority of children, curiosity comes naturally. Faced with the unusual, unknown, unfamiliar, uncertain, children feel curious because they are open-minded. They are ready to take risks. That's why we have lost this open-mindedness. We have lost this ability of risk-taking when we grew up. That's why we stopped being curious. In one of the interviews during an award function in 2014, somebody asked Dr. Kalam how he became a rocket engineer and an aerospace engineer. He recalled and told a story about his fifth standard teacher, Sri Sivasubramania Iyer, whom he was fond of. One day, the teacher was teaching about birds' flight. He drew a diagram of a bird on the blackboard and explained about the wings, the tails, how the birds create the lift and fly, and also explained how they change direction while flying, and how also make this bird formation of around 20 or 30. Young Kalam and many of his classmates could not understand properly. So they were questioning in their mind. So they got up and they asked the teacher, "What is it? We are not able to understand." That question changed their life. So the teacher took them to the Rameshwaram seashore that same evening. And children were enjoying the roaring sea, but the teacher showed them the birds, how they were forming, the flights, and he showed them the wings flapping and explained them how their flights were due to a combination of wings flapping and the twisting tail. And he explained about lift, drag, and all these things in their own way. We all understood the whole bird dynamics from this practical example in just 15 minutes. Then the teacher asked them a question: where is the engine and how it is powered? That instigated a sense of curiosity in young Kalam and became a turning point in his life that decided his future career. It's because of that day he thought in his mind that his future study had to be with reference to flight and flight systems. That's why then he went and asked the teacher, "Sir, tell me, how will I be able to learn about all these flights? How can I become a person who is studying about this flight?" So the teacher explained, first you finish your 8th standard and then you go to engineering college, but everywhere you have to get excellent marks, and finally you have to take up that subject. The advice of the teacher and the bird flying event all changed Abdul Kalam's life, and he went on to do his engineering in Madras Institute of Technology. He took up aeronautical engineering, and his life was transformed as a rocket engineer, aerospace engineer, and a technologist. That one incident showing the visual live example was a turning point, because he questioned. If he would have kept quiet without the question in the class and just uh, told the teacher that I have understood, he wouldn't have learned. That's why there is an art in asking questions. Most of us believe that success is bestowed only upon a lucky few. But actually, the reality is pioneers struggle against all odds. They can transform an idea into a reality, even when it doesn't seem possible. If you ask any record breaker, any trailblazer, anyone who has climbed the ladder, and any world changer, how they achieve it, they will tell you that building the future is not about fortune smiling upon you. What's the difference between the folks that are 1 in 10 in the winners list? They have the curiosity, the ability to recover from adversity, and the ability to behave in a consistent, in a persistent manner. So, of course, everything is starting with curiosity, dreams, and imagination. Dreams are the starting point of every achievement. Abdul Kalam said, "Dream is not what you see while you're sleeping, but it is that something that does not let you sleep." So, when you're curious about something, it becomes your dream. There are many stages of sleep, but in one of the stages, REM sleep, you dream. And many of the intellectuals are waiting for that. They try to go to sleep with something that is in their mind, and they try to dream about it, and then they get their thing, whatever they are imagining, their inventions in their dream. So there are many tactics to get the dreams based on their curiosity, based on their imaginations. Albert Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination encircles the world." Imagination is as important as knowledge. Michelangelo's David, to this day, he made a beautiful sculpture called David. To this day, it remains as one of the most remarkable statues ever created. It is timeless and strikingly impressive. He's also the one who created the world's greatest Fresno painting on the ceiling of Sistine Chapel. He had a cool technique to make his masterpieces. First, he used to see the perfect version of the sculpture he envisioned in his mind in the marble, the rock block, and then he would chip away all the extra stones. So David was sculpted out of a ruined block of marble rejected by others. Michelangelo looked into inside the stone to find the image he was seeking. He was curious. He was curious to find his image inside the stone, and that resulted in his masterpieces. That's why his sculptures are called as captives. The Pietà depicting Mary holding the Christ after his death was for that statue. He took a huge slab of the finest white marble from Carrara, and then because in that Italy, the very finest marbles were found. So after completing hundreds of sketches, he made first in his mind, then he converted into sketches, then he created the figures in clay, then he formed the statue in wax, and finally he started chiseling. So every fine work has to start in your mind. You need to be curious. It's a simple process of focusing on things that are normally taken for granted. It's the willingness to stop and to look at things that no one has bothered to look at. Throughout history, mankind has reportedly demonstrated that focused mental efforts can produce miracles. Can you tell me how many times a bridge or a building is made? How many times Taj Mahal or the Twin Towers were made? Once, twice, or thrice? It's made at least 2 times. First, every building is made in the mind, then drafted in the paper, and then made with bricks. It's not a surprise to anyone that everything starts with mind. So that is the result of paradigm shifts. That's the result of innovations. All these changes happen because somebody dared to imagine. Somebody was curious. Curiosity is the fuel to creativity and imagination. Have you heard of a great scientist called Michael Faraday? He came from a very poor family. He became one of the greatest scientists in history. His achievements was remarkable in a time when science was usually the preserve of people only born in wealthy families. Even the unit of electrical capacitance was named after him, called Farad. It would be easy if you can fill a full book with the details of his discoveries in both chemistry and physics. Even Albert Einstein kept 3 stalwart pictures in his table: James Clerk Maxwell, Isaac Newton, and Michael Faraday. They all believe that there is some intelligibility in the nature, and we are intelligent. God has put something intelligence inside us to understand the world around us, so that through that we will know our Creator. So he was a man devoted to discovery through experimentation. He was famous for never giving up on ideas which came from his scientific intuition. Almost 2 decades of his research on magnetism and electricity, his research ended up with earth-shattering discovery, the world's first generator in 1834. This was an enormously important discovery for the future of both science and technology, because most of the power in our homes today is produced using this principle. Kinetic energy through rotation could be converted electrical energy. The rotation can be produced by high pressure steam from coal, gas, or nuclear energy, or by hydroelectric plants, or by wind turbines, but everything, the principle remains same. The more we study about Faraday, the more we are impressed by his genius as an experimenter and a natural philosopher. He was curious about the natural world. Now, next scientist, he's still alive. He's 96 now. Freeman Dyson. When he was 94, he came up with fantastic science fiction advices, something speculative but wonderful ideas, like imaginative Dyson sphere. It's a hypothetical megastructure that completely encompasses a star and captures a large percentage of its power output. It's an imaginative, it's impossible. He proposed that searching for such structures could lead to the detection of advanced, intelligent extraterrestrial life. He also came up with some Dyson tree where we can plant genetically engineered trees on comets to create a habitable, breathable atmosphere in the comet. So he was curious. That's why he's trying all these futuristic ideas. And the third scientist, he is Richard Feynman. He is a Nobel Prize winning American physicist. Particularly, he was known for his contribution to quantum physics. When he was a young boy in Queens, he went for a walk with his dad and his wagon and a ball. He noticed that he pulled the wagon, the ball went to the back of the wagon. The ball lying in his little red wagon would roll to the back when he pulled the wagon forward, and it will roll to the front when it is stopped. The little boy wanted to know why it is happening. He asked his dad, why does the ball go to the back of the wagon? And his dad said, that's inertia. What is inertia? Inertia is the name that scientists give to this phenomena, but nobody knew really what it is for. Later, he went on to degrees at MIT, Princeton, and then he solved the Challenger disaster. And he also described the movement of subatomic particles. You know what made him different? Many people write down an equation and then find a solution. But Feynman would write down the solution without even writing the equations. It seemed like a magic because he thought in terms of pictures instead of equations. So I can give story after story. Scientists who made such world-changing discoveries and the artists who have created breathtaking arts were a little bit more curious. And their curiosity changed the way people thought about the world. And that's why it changed the world. If they can change the world, you too can change the world. But dare to dream, dare to be curious. Dreams are the starting point of all achievements. Eleanor Roosevelt said that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Just as our eyes need light to see, our mind needs ideas and dreams to conceive. That's why Abdul Kalam said, dream, dream, dream. Convert your dream into thoughts and then transform them into action. I wanted to tell you about the one interesting story about a man called Walt Disney. He had a great impact on entertainment industry of the 20th century. His innovations included the film, the full-length animated feature film, and of course the theme park Disneyland at LA. While young, to escape the brutality of his father's beatings, he created a fantasy world for himself with his pen and ink, but life was always beautiful. People were always happy. He dreamt of Disney World in 1950, where he can put all his characters, Snow White, Pinocchio, and all these things. But when the Disneyland was inaugurated, he was no more. When somebody asked his wife how nice if he could have been there, she said he was. He saw it, all these things long back in his mind. Yes, throughout history, mankind has demonstrated that focused mental effort can produce miracles. Just they learn to be little more curious about all these things. How if I can put it there? How if I can do it? They ask questions. Towards the end of the 18th century, there was a man called Samuel who found land. And the US Department gave him $50,000 to develop this mission called Flying Mission. We call this aeroplane. And so much money was given to him, so much intelligence were with him. Many people were with him, but he never developed because the passion to develop was with two young men. They were, the Wright brothers, and they never had any money, they never had any education, they never even married. They had a bicycle shop, And every day they'll imagine, every day they were curious, every day they'll fall down with their prototypes. But one day, when they took the flight in December 1903, nobody was there even to see, look at them. But they triumphed because they were curious, they were having passion for it. That's why Mark Victor Hansen said one of the greatest assets you have is your imagination. The pictures, the things we dwell more have a powerful influence on us. The simple process of focusing on things that are normally taken for granted. The willingness to stop and look at things that no one else has bothered to look at is a powerful source of creativity. Winston Churchill once said, if everybody are thinking the same thing, somebody is not thinking. And over the 33 years of my career as a scientist with DRDO, I have learned the importance of imagination, creativity, knowledge, and being a continuous learner. All of them have symbiotic relationships. One feeds over the other. Imagination is as important as knowledge. And one should be curious, should be different, should be creative. Many people are creative, but they never dare to be different. That's why all these things are symbiotically related. Give up the thought that you should fit to the crowd. Better not to fit in. You be curious about the things around the world, and that will make you to be a different. Take the path which no one else travels. But that is a great irony. The irony is there has been a universal resistance to new ideas. If those new ideas would have been implemented, we could have improved people's lives and made the world a better place. That's why many such people were put down. Many ideas have gone to the graveyard along with the idea bearers. It is wasted potential. So leaders should develop the right mindset about new ideas, about curiosities. You should never reject curious or creative ideas that will, because thinking that it can lead to a costly mess. And sometimes people think it will take time. You know, Fred Smith, he is the founder and CEO of FedEx. While he was studying in Yale University in 1965, he wrote a paper exploring transportation methods in the US. And he came up with a more efficient idea, an overnight delivery service. His professor graded the paper very low. He gave only C and stated that though the concept is interesting, the idea is not feasible. 7 years later, Smith launched the FedEx. You know, he knew the value of his idea, so he followed up. He overcame the obstacles because he was committed to this idea. But many sometimes are not ready to follow up with their ideas. They are not, they are unable to convince people of the value of their innovations. And also some people feel that their ideas are not worthwhile. But I have been seeing this universal resistance to new ideas from the beginning. Even a typical example was the story of Galileo. During the 16th century, there was a radical shift in the human perceptions of reality. Till that time, the whole world, everybody was thinking, whole earth was thinking that all the scientists were thinking that it's a geocentric, the earth is the center. But then Nicholas Copernicus, Tycho Brahe, and Kepler were the three men behind this evolution. He brought in a major shift in thinking called the Copernican revolution. Uh, in 1543, Copernicus had the mental power to imagine what even to him is impossible. He thought the impossible, Earth moves around the sun, and that was the key that unlocked the great mysteries of the universe and laid the cornerstone for modern astronomy. He found that the planets moved in circles, and he wrote his book on the revolutions of celestial spheres just before his death in 1543. And that triggered the Copernican revolution. In 1609, Galileo built his first telescope. He looked at the mountains, he looked at the craters of the moon, and he found the Earth is not the center. So he's published his book, Dialogue, and he claimed the Earth moves around the sun. But because of the prevailing view, he was put under house arrest. You know, that is the reason. Sometimes our ideas are rejected. People reject new ideas. But in the case of Newton, something different happened. Let me show my screen. So Isaac Newton stumbled upon the forces of gravitation, according to one study, he was working on his estate. He saw an apple falling down, and he said that he saw an apple falling down, and then he thought, okay, if the apple can fall down, why not the moon? So that question, if the apple can fall down, why not the moon help to unlock the heavens? Because as apple fall down, moon also can fall down. But what is preventing it? Then he came upon the force of gravity. So Newton immediately tried to work out the mathematics, and he realized the mathematics of the 1600s was not sufficient to work out the motion of a falling moon. So he stumbled upon the force of gravity, and he also stumbled upon calculus. So that's when he wrote the most beautiful system of sun, planets, and comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. So he believed there is a creator who have done it, because the force of gravity have to be finely tuned. If all the four forces of nature have to be finely tuned, there should be a fine tuner behind it. That's what he understood. So this question, that if apple can fall, why not moon? That question. So he questioned. That question changed everything. But according to a study by IBM in 2010, where they
Excuse me,
asked some
ma'am.
hundreds of scientists, around more than hundreds, 1,600 CEOs from 60 countries, they carried out this study. The study was conducted by IBM in around 10 years back. The CEOs were prepared for the future, and actually only less than half of them, in fact, so told that they are thinking about the future. And when they were asked what is the most important ingredient for the great future, they all came up with one word: creativity. So the
Madam,
company could anticipate revolutionary changes only when there is creativity ingrained in the company's culture. But curiosity can lead to a wide range of benefits, like curiosity can lead to a wide range of benefits. When employees are more curious, decision making errors decline, group conflicts go down, team communicates more often, overall team performance can increase. But still, people sometimes reject curiosity and creativity. Why? So before going into it, let me just tell you the relation between curiosity and creativity. There's a famous saying by George Lewis. He says that creativity can solve almost any problem. The creative act, the defeat of habit, by originality overcomes everything. So now coming to this creativity, it's like a chicken and egg situation. We all have heard of this riddle: chicken or egg, which came first? And in the same way, this curiosity and creativity are
hello,
related.
madam. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we couldn't able to see the PPT of yours.
Oh, you could have told me a little earlier.
I'm trying to interrupt you, but I think my voice it couldn't able to reach you.
Okay, so I'll start from the
That's why
beginning.
I reclaim the host again.
No,
So,
you have disabled my screen sharing. That's why.
no, no, no. Just now I disabled, madam. 1 second. Because as I want to convey to you,
So, can you make me co host? Is it possible? So, are you able to record from your side too? Now, can you see my screen? Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm very sorry. So, let me start again. So I was talking about this curiosity at the workplace. So curiosity at the workplace. Let me start with Isaac Newton. Why we should be curious at the workplace? Why we should ask questions? Because everything starts with questions. For example, let me. Can you hear this? Isaac Newton, who stumbled upon the universal force of gravitation, according to one story, he was walking on his estate when he saw an apple falling down. And then Isaac Newton saw the moon, and then he asked a great question that helped to unlock the heavens. If apples fall, does also the moon fall? And the answer was yes. So that answer turned thousands of years of mystery. Just like an apple, the just like an apple, the moon is constantly falling towards the earth. It doesn't hit the earth because it spins around earth. And the earth is round, but it's acting under a force of gravity. So Newton immediately tried to work out the mathematics, and he realized the mathematics of the 1600s was not sufficient to work out the mathematics. So he ended up discovering calculus. So that's when using calculus, he understood that if why the moon is not falling but the apple is falling, and thus he stumbled upon gravity. And he looked at the beautiful sun, planets, and comets, and he said they could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. For him, if this gravity and all the four forces of nature are fine-tuned, there should be a fine-tuner behind it. And this sort of questioning changes everything. You know, there was a man called Halley. So he stumbled upon the Halley's Comet. He was how he discovered the Halley's Comet. Okay, sorry. Are you able to stop? So there was a man called Halley. He discovered the comets. How he discovered, you know, because actually there are a lot of people in the waiting room, and if somebody can be a host, we can. Okay, so coming to this comet, you know, all of us know about the comets, and today is the day when many two planets are going to come into alignment. The same comet was visited when the British were fighting against the the famous, sorry, it was the famous war in Britain, which brought the British Empire into existence. That time it was visited by a comet. And again, this during the Halley's time, he saw a comet, and then people were wondering why comets are coming. Why comets are coming? If comets are coming, there should be something behind it. So that's when Halley discovered it keeps coming because of this rotation around the Earth. So we can see this. We see 1986. After 2026, again we will be seeing it again. This sort of discovery came because of curiosity. So curiosity and creativity are related to one another. According to a study by IBM in 2010, when they asked around 1,600 CEOs from 60 countries what is the one best thing ingredient for a great future of the company, everybody told one thing, that is creativity. But still, they all believe most of the leaders are against this curious thoughts or against this imaginative because they feel that it challenges the status quo. And also sometimes this revolutionary changes can give rise to a lot of cost increase. So, but actually creativity and curiosity are some of the greatest assets to any company, because when employees are more curious, decision making errors decline, and group conflicts go down, team communicates more openly, overall team performance improves. So the main important thing is we have to spark curiosity. George Lewis said creativity can solve almost any problem. The creative act The defeat of habit by originality overcomes everything. So, what is this creativity? Curiosity is the seed for creativity. So, both of them are interrelated, like chicken and egg. Chicken and egg is an age-old adage. So, the same manner, they are so much connected. They are not independent. And how are they related to one another? If we take a close look, um, let us see how curiosity is fueling creativity. So now the researchers, same three researchers, a study by a team of three researchers studied the link between curiosity and how creativity was impacted by two types of curiosity. One type is general curiosity. This form of curiosity is associated with quite broad interest in seeking out many different kinds of novel information. It emphasizes breadth rather than one depth. So a second type is specific curiosity, that is to learn and acquire one specific knowledge. And finally, you know what they found? General curiosity led to more information seeking, which in turn directly led to higher creativity. So general curiosity, that means you are not focused to one idea. So you can see here curiosity plus creativity give rise to innovation. So now, even though whatever we do, we know that curiosity and creativity are so good. Why sometimes we don't develop that in our organization? Why leaders are against it? Why people don't think that creativity belongs to them? So today I'm going to give you four major reasons, four major barriers to curiosity and creativity. Let's start. The first thing is they reject the notion because people believe that creativity belongs to only a select few. We have to start by rejecting that notion that only some creative right brain thinkers have the creativity. Sometimes people say, maybe you think that you have to be a genius if you have a higher IQ score of around 145 or so. I was talking about Richard Feynman. When he was trying his IQ level, it was not 145, it was 124. And he wanted to get into a great institute called Mensa, which needs 132. But somehow he used some of the things which I have given here, like Master of the When he didn't have that 145 or 132, but an institution wanted, he used this particular tactic. For example, he became the master of his craft. You should know, he knew that his problem, what he's trying to solve, has a solution. And the third one is you should be willing to surrender all your preconceptions and biases about your beliefs. And then the fourth one is you should have that spiritual quotient, looking inward. I will come to that in depth later. And let us see now why you should reject this creativity belongs to only a select few, because many people have the creativity, many are curious, but only because of the belief that only a select few can be curious, they stop being curious and creative. And the second one is many people are narrowly focused. So I wanted to give one example. For example, 1900s Henry Ford. He focused all his efforts on one goal, reducing the production cost to create a car for the masses. In 1908, he realized the vision with the introduction of the Model T. The demand grew so high that by 1921, the company was producing 56% of all passenger cars in the US. A remarkable success. And that was made primarily possible because of the firm's efficiency-oriented model of approach. But in the late 1920s, as the US economy started to rise to new heights, consumers um, wanted a different varieties. They didn't want one type of car. But Ford was fixated on only one model. He was fixated on improving one model. And that's why General Motors and other companies started to produce different types of cars. And because of a single-minded focus on efficiency, Ford lost and he fell behind. So it's very important that you should never be narrowly focused. And that is very important. That's why I was telling this curiosity and creativity. When they did the studies, how general curiosity, that you are not narrowly focused, but you allow just divergent information, ideas to come in. That's when your company can go ahead. You should develop a culture. You should develop a place where people are bold enough to tell any ideas they have. That's when you should never be narrowly focused. And then the third one is resistance to ask questions. In when we are young, we ask a lot of questions, but now we don't ask, because when we question the status quo. Because when we question, we are more curious, and that ends up in questioning the status quo. Aristotle asked the question, why do objects move towards the earth? And he thought at that time objects earn to be reunited with the earth. Then he also asked the question, why do objects in motion slow down? He thought they are tired. These are the works of Aristotle. And that's when people were thinking this is the reason that objects are moving towards the earth. But two men changed that. That was Isaac Newton and Edmund Halley. Isaac Halley observed the comet. I was telling Halley observed the comet first in 1682, and then he predicted that comet would come again. Because he know that comets do not travel straight lines, but they are elliptical, and thus make periodic visits. And that's when the same comet, even might be he could have visited when during the Christmas time when baby Jesus was born. That time he said that same comet, it could have been the same comet. And so now coming to this advantage of curiosity, why do we refrain from asking questions? Asking questions takes time. And we adults have a need to speed up the world. So we think time is precious, so better not to ask questions. And then the second one is, we are not comfortable telling, I don't know. Because I don't know, because it encourages, people might think that, they might judge us, they might think that we are incompetent, and they might think that we are incompetent, we are indecisive, we are not intelligent, and that's why we are scared to tell, I don't know. And then sometimes when we climb the organization ladder, we think that we have to learn less. They think that leaders believe that they are supposed to talk and provide answers, not ask questions. They often prefer to talk and push their ideas instead of listening to the younger people. So that's when they try to impose their ideas. So leaders can encourage curiosity throughout the organization by being inquisitive themselves. In 2000, Greg Dyke he was the Director General of BBC. So before assuming his position as the Director General, he spent 5 months in visiting major BBC's locations, and he went on asking questions. He asked only 2 questions. What is the one thing I should do to make things better for you? Then what is the one thing I should do to make things better for the viewers and the listeners of BBC? So this thing he collected everybody's answers and he put it down. After officially taking the reins, he gave a speech to the staff that reflected what he had learned and showed employees that he was truly interested in them. By asking questions and genuinely listening to the responses, he modeled the importance of his behavior, that he was curious, he was creative. That fills the gap in our knowledge and identify other questions to investigate. I wanted to give you, this is a very important story. I'll show you one video. So here, on the 15th January 2009, Captain Chesley Sullenberger, affectionately known as Sully, he landed flight number 1549 into the winter-chilled Hudson River. It was a feat of responsiveness to pilot training, which left all 150 passengers and 5 crew members alive without physical injury. But what happened that day to the Airbus A320 aircraft? The aircraft was taking off from New York on its way to North Carolina And the plane got into difficulty because it encountered a flock of geese. Birds obscured the pilot and the first officer's view, while passengers became aware of a loud bang and a smell of fuel. The bird strike severely damaged both aircraft's engines and made them to fail. Initially, the pilot thought they can land in muted seas and they got clearance, but the aircraft could never make it. So it became apparent to Sully and his first officer's guides that the best option for the aircraft was the Hudson River, where the plane eventually pitched. What happened after landing on the river? Passengers were evacuated, local boat operators were alerted to facilitate the rescue, and all the 155 people on board, including the 5 crew members and 150 passengers, were safe and mostly without physical injury. When Captain Sully was asked how he was able to land a commercial aircraft safely in the Hudson River, he described his passion for continuous learning. All the commercial flights are almost every time it's a routine thing, but every time when his plane pushed back from the gate, he would remind himself that he needed to be prepared for the unexpected. What can I learn? He would think. And when the unexpected came to pass on a cold January day in 2009, Sully was able to ask himself what he could do given the available options and come up with a creative solution. He successfully fought the tendency to grasp the most obvious option, landing in the nearest airport. If he would have gone to the nearest airport, then he would have not be able to save all of them. So that's when his understanding of how he can do this, how he can, his curiosity of able to land in the winter chilled river of Hudson saved many people. But many do not do this sort of creativity. They are not curious about new things because the problem is they are scared of failure. Even Sully could have thought that I might fail if I land in the chilled Hudson River, my flight, and he could have landed in the New Jersey airport. But because of the engine failure, he could have banged, could have fallen down and killed many other people. But he was not scared of failure. So Thomas Alva Edison made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts before inventing the light bulb. But he saw this as a process. He said the light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps, but he need to he need to take up that defeating process. Might be he failed, but it's a new way of learning how to make a light bulb. That's why we should treat failure like a scientist. How a scientist will treat his experiments. It's all data points. It's all data points. So if you ask a scientist, they'll tell when they are running experiments, they have to move from one data point to the another data point, one experiment to another, one prototype to another. And so for most of us, failure should never feel like an indication that we have failed as a person. But in this world, failure, people look at as though you have personally failed. If you failed at test, people think you're not smart. If you you're not fit, people think you are not smart. Or if you fail in your business, they think that you don't have the intelligence. Failing in art means you are not creative, but it's not that way. None of us should think that failures are something wrong. Failures are stepping stones to success, and your successes are not you. Your failures are not you. They are just stepping stones. They are just data points to guide the next experiment. Then finally comes the spiritual quotient. I said that that in one of my talks, that subconscious mind occupies around 85%, and the conscious mind is only 15%. It's a partner in our success. When we can get into the subconscious mind, it's way through our imagination, we know that we can come out with new ideas. So we should have learned to look into us. Sometimes prayer helps. Many times prayer helps. This Mary, she used to pray, and she found one day she got this idea of this marinating stick. She said that she patented it also. The stick illuminates. It's just a simple stick. eliminates the need for marinating in a pan by chopping up spices and vegetables, placing them in the stick, and then sticking it into the meat. So, this is just a simple thing, but it helped her a lot. So that's why we should have that spiritual quotient. Even Einstein in 1905 wrote four papers in 1 year that completely changed the physics. He proved the existence of atoms, photons, and then used his imagination rather than mathematics to come up with his famous equation, the general theory of relativity. But what is the foundation of this idea? He said that these ideas come from God. Einstein said that the creative force, God, is in you. Actually, I believe God's spirit resides in us, and that can make us more creative. When I was not able to finish my PhD for 5 long years, I started believing that I will not be able to finish. But then I applied the spiritual quotient and I asked God, why don't you guide me? The next 2 years, I was able to write many international journal papers and I could complete. Even Dr. James Simpson, the surgeon and obstetrician who instigated the use of chloroform in surgery, because earlier people were, the surgery was happening without any chloroform, and people used to shout and cry. So he started this needless suffering during surgery without painkillers or anesthesias. At that time, they used to do it because, but then he introduced this chloroform. How he learned this? He was reading his Bible in Genesis 2. He read that God might have to put Adam to sleep. So he thought that idea and then he brought in the anesthesia fundament. In Samuel Morse, the man who knew our mobile phones and our computers, he invented this Morse code. He also was telling when somebody asked, when you have problems, what would you do in your scientific study? He said, I used to get down on my knees and the ideas pop up. So that's why I'm telling you, many times ideas come from God. So what are the ingredients of curiosity? Final thing I wanted to finish by telling this. So in many times our office environment is boring. We have a bland rows of cubes, equally boring, uninspiring meeting rooms, and generic computers, white notebooks, and everything. It looks so boring. So one day, let me give you an example. There was one man called Satish. He was working on the launch of a new car, and he felt stressed out, and he was not able to get any ideas. So his supervisor shifted him to some beautiful place in his workplace, a big room, and then there also he was not able to get any ideas. But then he looked at his son who was into a startup. He and his few friends were working in his garage and they were getting lot of big ideas, and their startup was going very well. So he went and tried to understand what's happening in that place. He understood something very important. They had creative culture. And the office environment, though the structures were not good, the environment was good. They felt that they shared the thoughts openly. There was a creative atmosphere. They found that if this we can do, how it will happen. Every one of them shared the thoughts. And then they trusted one another. Many times people don't share their ideas because somebody will steal their ideas. And somebody will steal and they will tell that it is my idea. So they had a proper way of crediting the ideas. And they allowed failure to come in their process. They never judged anybody. And this gave a creative culture in their life, in their small startup. And that's why that startup was a grand success. So next is storytelling. Many times in the office, we never do storytelling, right? We think storytelling is for little girls or little boys. The stories have the ability to inspire and persuade. Like this kind of presentation, many times we have a boring presentation. Somebody will come and speak so boringly and we don't feel like listening. But stories have a really powerful ability to package information. Today, even though you don't listen to some of my talks which wouldn't have gone inside your mind, the way that aircraft which I showed a story would have really gone inside your mind. That's why storytelling is very, very important. They, because someone that your audience, what they want, how they want. if you can share it as a story, let me give you an example for that story. This this is my favorite example. This comes from GE Healthcare. Hospitals can be scary places for children. And that too, MRI scanners to, if you tell a child to get into the MRI, magnetic resonance imaging test and CT scans, the children get so scared because they have to be inside for 10 to 30 minutes, and the machines usually make loud noises and frighten those young kids. So one day, Doug Gates, he's an industrial designer for almost 20 years. And he thought, okay, I have designed this MRI, let me go. He was curious. That's why I'm telling curiosity is the base for everything. He was curious, and so he went to one of the hospitals where they were using his MRI. And he was seeing a child. The child was so much crying, and the father was bending down and telling the child, one more time, my kid, try to be brave. You have to be brave. And Doug was so moved by that experience. He discovered that many children even had to be sedated before putting them inside because it was terrifying. That increased the risk and cost and stress. So he was determined to solve this problem. So he went back to his office, to GE Healthcare, and then he told his story. The room itself is kind of dark and everything is so bad, and the machine what I made looked like a brick and the children are crying. So he was so scared. He told the story, and then a group of people started working. They made something incredible. They developed an adventure series of scanners. This one, what I'm showing here in the picture, is actually called the Cozy Camp environment. This Cozy Camp experience is something amazing. As soon as a child opens the door, they are off on a camping adventure. They snuggle into a sleeping bag. And when they get into the MRI mission, it's now an adventure in a tent. So Doug and his team completely transformed this experience from terror and cost to one of complete joy, and it's incredible. The good news is a lot of companies are now learning this art of storytelling. And that's why creativity is a birthright. It's available to all, but only if you use it. The next is encourage people to think out of the box and brainstorm. Like how you can, this situation, MRI scanner, all of them sat together and they brainstormed. And then they encouraged people to think out of the box. Why should we really go out of the box? Because sometimes we think inside the box we are safe. We agree with everybody and we get out, we risk our reputation. We work so hard for our lifetime. Now, why should we risk it? So that's why we sometimes get so scared to get out of the box. The boundary between what we know and what we haven't still or yet thought about. Our successes, our failures that really make what we are. So that's when we don't go out of the box. So I wanted to give you a small little demonstration and finish it. Now take this 9 dots. Just think about in your home, wherever you are. Take this 9 dots. Now I'll give you just 15 seconds. Use 4 straight lines or lesser than that. Don't lift your pen, and without raising the same line more than once. How many times, how many lines, minimum lines you can do? So this one, they asked to big people, adult. And you know the adults didn't come out with many solutions because they don't have to stop and adapt. They realize that they are trying to put rules. For example, you should not come on the same line back. So then how many minimum lines? So this one child came forward, and you know, this child drew like this. Nobody imagined that this is one way it is possible. They were trying to find out different ways. But when they called the child came and beautifully drew this one single line. They were quite embarrassed. You know, this is the way I was telling about creativity and curiosity. Curiosity leads to creativity, and creativity leads to innovation. Why is Apple innovative? Why is Apple innovative? Because when Apple introduced the iPhones, it was quite innovative because we had a cell phone, we had a computer, they had nothing in common. They were two different things, but they were put together and it was something amazing. So year after year, we just see these sort of things, something divergent things, and they were put together to make something amazing. So today I wanted to tell you that try to incorporate curiosity in your workplace, in your home. Try to ask questions. Don't use normal thoughts as, and try to stop people from asking questions. Don't try to stop people from asking questions, because asking questions and being curious makes somebody creative, and that can give rise to innovation. If your office environment had to be an innovative environment and it had to be a friendly environment, you have to bring in this curiosity culture. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge. It was such a stimulating and fascinating session with live examples and videos such as Mary's marinating stick and different paths to curiosity, like sharing her thoughts, storytelling, encouraging to think out of box, children's MRI scanner, etc. And thanks a lot. And let me one announcement to the participants, like Dr. Lata ma'am always plants seeds every single day in the world and in others. With every thought she thinks and word, she speaks and action, she takes, she influences all. She makes a dent in the universe and she matter in a very realistic way. Ma'am, with your kind permission, let me show your lead talk video for 2 minutes, which makes us to boost up ourselves to fight with the tougher situation and gain courage to succeed in our life.
and wished for death every moment. I got into depression and I was one step away from insanity. I cried, I prayed, but no one knew what I was facing because I wore a mask of normalcy in front of the world. I secretly cried and wept out to God. If He existed, I pleaded with Him to come to my help. But since there was no answer, for almost 20 years, I got hurt, I was disappointed, I was shattered, and a question began to haunt me. Is God fair? This question began to pierce me to the core, that I saw many answered prayers while mine remained unanswered for almost 2 decades. And when I found that I'm replaceable and expendable, I was completely shattered and I tried to end my life. Looking back, but for God, I wouldn't have been able to cross this difficult terrain. If someone would have told me that time that the Grand Weaver has a different pattern in his mind for me, I wouldn't have believed it. God shapes us through heart-wrenching tragedies that sometimes wound us. But when we believe Him through our pain, He is so good enough to help us to find our life purpose.
So, sharing of your examples regarding the Mary's marinating steak, I think like your story like is very inspiring to us, and as well as it's like a role model to us, ma'am. Ma'am, hello, ma'am, could you please unmute yourself? Wait.
Yeah, now it's possible, I think.
Yeah, thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much.
So Thank you, ma'am. Your pearls of wisdom shall open new horizons in our thoughts, and we shall strive to keep them as a role model in our profession. Thank you. Thanks a lot, ma'am. And on behalf of SV Engineering College, my heartfelt thanks to Professor Murli Krishna sir, HOD of Usmania English Department, Usmania University, and Professor Annie Potin ma'am, and Dr. Lata Christie ma'am, Senior Scientist, DRDO Bangalore, who immediately accepted our invitation in spite of their busy schedule. And we are very felicitous to listen your scholarly words. It's a tremendous and exuberant sessions. Definitely the addendums given by you like critical thinking, different etiquettes, interpersonal awareness, self-discovery, how to create a good image, and how different skills are the integral part in ourselves, different paths to curiosity, allowing failures, encouraged to think out of the box, and so on, helps us to update ourselves. My sincere thanks to our beloved principal, Dr. T. Kalpalata Reddy, and management for encouraging and supporting at every step. My ardent thanks to all the participants and delegates who are with us from phase 1, that is day 1 onwards, and thanks to all the HODs, faculty, and thanks to convener of this program, Dr. K. Sunita Reddy, HOD of SNHD department. Once again, thank you all. And participants, the feedback link will be posted in the chat box.
Thank you, Vani Shri. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Request all the participants to please kindly fill the feedback form. I once again request all the participants to please fill the feedback form, and the feedback form also will be posted in the chat box in the WhatsApp group.